Ray Hayes, a visionary leader and a nine-figure entrepreneur. He's the executive director and board member of SPL, Australia's largest hospitality textile rental and service provider. Under Ray's dynamic leadership, SPL has achieved remarkable growth, with 1,200 staff across the nation, serving 6,800 customers, offering a wide range of services, from managed garment rental to sterilized theatre linen services. Ray's commitment to excellence has resulted in SPL achieving triple ISO global certification. He is the strategy mastermind for sustainable growth, capital acquisition, operational efficiency, and customer relationship. Beyond his professional accomplishments, Ray is a family-focused husband to his beautiful wife, Wendy. He values growth, development, and success for all. He has lived out godly leadership at home, building and modeling relationships that thrive. Here is Ray Hayes.
Ray, why did you decide to pursue a career in this industry?
I actually got in by accident, but I originally left school very, very young to do an apprenticeship as a motor mechanic. And during that apprenticeship, I found that I obviously liked working with my hands on machinery. But the most fulfilling part of being a mechanic was diagnosing problems. I had the opportunity to move to a company called Hardy Trading in Brisbane that had a commercial laundry division. From that sort of exposure in that industry, I found that there was lots of gaps for service technicians like myself. So I ended up leaving that company and started up my own business doing the same thing. And I had the opportunity to buy and sell equipment. I was using my talents, obviously, as I learnt in that industry with fixing equipment. So I was buying second-hand machinery that people were selling. I was refurbishing it and selling it back into the industry. And so by default, I got into the commercial laundry industry, running and owning a laundry. I ended up buying out that who was my partner at the time. And then I moved to Albury in New South Wales, and I opened another laundry there, and just found that as long as I stuck to the basics and kept things simple, I'm a simple guy and I'm dyslexic, so numbers wasn't a strength of mine. But what I found is if you stuck to the fundamentals and the basics of business, and that applies to any business, and you sort of had good people around you, it was relatively easy to grow the business, I found. And that's how I got into this game, and I've been in it for 44 years now.
What was the biggest driving factor of your success that has enabled you to work your way out to become a CEO of a multi-million-dollar business?
I stuck to what I knew, and I knew it very, very well, and I was passionate about it. I just loved what I did, and that becomes infectious to the people around you. But what I found was my passion for the industry and solving problems within the industry got recognised by others. I sort of started this business in Albury, and I grew that up to a multi-million dollar turnover business, and that got recognised by other industry players because we had a really quick growth spurt in 2010 to 2013. It was like breaking the first $1 million in revenue it took some time, but once I got over that hurdle and you've got bigger cash flow, it was easier to self-fund the growth. And then we went from the $1 million the first year to $3 million, and then the second year went to $6 million, the third year went to $9 million. The fourth year went to 12 million in revenue, which was quite significant for a small town like Albury. And we branched out from Albury we were servicing Canberra, the regional towns as well. But again, it was just sticking to the fundamentals. We're a commercial laundry. Now, what I should explain exactly what we do, which will help put that in context, is we own all the linen. If you stay at a hotel, or in a hospital, obviously, someone needs to wash all that linen. But what a lot of people don't understand is that the laundry owns that linen. We rent it to the hotel or the hospital. This industry consumes a lot of capital to grow. If we're setting up a new hotel, we have to buy all that linen before we got any revenue. So sticking to the fundamentals of good cash flow, cash management, keep your accounts in order, is one of the key elements, and they're a challenging industry business to run. They've got all the bad aspects of a business. You've got high labour content, high machinery content, high creditors, high debtors, huge amounts of capital to start up a new customer. So, but you get it. Well, I talk about it like conducting an orchestra. If you get it right, it's just sweet music, and they're so fulfilling. And because we employ a lot of staff, I made the point earlier that having good people is the key. And what that looks like is different now, how I run a business and manage people, to when I first started, because lots of life lessons. But the biggest lesson I've had in running our business now, like our business in Melbourne employs over 250 people on any one shift, and we do multiple shifts a day. So you need good people, good structure, good production managers, and good training. I learnt the lesson that most people, 99% of people, come to work wanting to do a good job. And it's the job of the manager or the leader in the business to put that framework around them that makes them feel safe. So if they're doing their job well, they know what they need to do it well, and then they feel very, very safe. And we've got a very diverse workforce. Honestly, I know most by their first name, and that's the challenge. When we've got lots of Vietnamese, Chinese, but everybody knows me as well by name. So close relationship with our people, because without them we have no business. I had a really good mentor of mine in Albury that was in business, and one day I was having a bit of a whinge to him about how tough things were, and I was stressed and I was frustrated. And he asked me a question. He said, what do you do? And he knew exactly what I did. He knew I owned the business there and I ran it. I said, well, I run the business. And he said, no, what do you do? When you come into work every day, what do you do? And I didn't understand what he was asking, but he said, what you do is you solve problems. That's all you do. You come into work, you've got a staff member with a problem, or you've got a piece of machinery with a problem, you've got a customer with a problem. And so it shifted my perspective around what I did in terms of being a manager of a business, and it shifted my perspective of what problems were. I used to look at them as bad things. So I quickly learned after that. It was a real turning point for me, because from then on I seek out problems. And if I ring a customer, one of the worst fears of mine was to ring a customer and say, how are things going? I would never do that, because I was scared of their response. Your service is terrible. But now I literally seek it out. And if someone's complaining, and it sounds a bit cliche-ish, but it's the truth, that if you understand your role is to solve problems, every problem you solve, and if you solve it at the root cause, your business is better for that. And then you just keep every day you're solving problems. So that was one of the turning points. And the other turning point was I wasn't a good people manager, but I learnt that. And I can still remember coming home from work one day, and I said to Wendy, I'm never going to sack anyone ever again. I'm going to train them how to do the job right, and hold them accountable for what I've trained them to do. And if they don't do it, they'll just either leave, or I'll get the outcome I want. We employ a lot of unskilled labour, which is great. It's usually people either part-time or straight out of school, university people that are on limited hours at uni that want a bit of extra income. So we've got lots of churn in terms of people, but we've got the model right. We train them well, we treat them well, we set their boundaries clearly and fairly, and we've just got a happy workforce that meet all the requirements that expected of them. So the two key elements for me that helped turn a business around was being brave enough to listen to your customers' problems and solve those problems. And one of the key aspects for me that I learned is, if you've got a good relationship with your customer and you've got a problem, it's not a problem. But if you don't have a good relationship with the customer and you've got a problem, it's a big problem. And so we encourage the customers to tell us what we're not doing well. And from that, we then go and solve those problems, and we solve them well. We think we do, and then we move on and we grow the business, and then the reputation becomes that you can trust that business, because if you've got a problem, they'll resolve it.
Ray, with a busy life, how do you manage your work-life balance?
Great question, and it is a challenge at times in business. One of the biggest pressures that running your own business brings that into the family is financial pressure, financial stress, which is obviously a challenge, plus the other demands of running a business, and coming home and leaving that at work is probably one of the biggest challenges. But my wife and I, Wendy, have been able to talk through what my need is when I come home from work, and what my need is I need to download. And so I'll talk about the issues I've had today, and once I get them out, then I can switch that off, and we turn to her about what her day was about. But it took us a while to understand that was a need of mine, and then she had different needs around when I came home from work, what those needs were. And it was just to not only ask her about what her day was like, but help her out doing things, that sort of thing. So I've built a real value around the relationship that is secondary to business. As much as I enjoy the business, I value my relationship with Wendy more than the business. And I describe it as my home is my cave. No matter what storms are going on outside, I know when I come home, I feel safe in that cave, in that relationship with my wife. But it takes concentrated, deliberate effort to talk through what your needs are with your wife, and her to listen to that, and vice versa. It's not the same for everyone, but the majority of guys that I have spoken to find that they come home from work, they can't engage with their relationship with their wife or partner because they've still got all this stress and things going around in their mind. But then, I explain to them that, well, one of the questions I ask a lot of guys, and the same is true for me, why do you do what you do? And so, well, okay, but if they're going to get on the next bus and leave town because you're not engaged with them, how would you look at your business? I recognised pretty early that why I do what I do, as fulfilling it is for me, it's the way I provide for my family.
Excellent. Thank you so much for your time today.